Hello, replay viewers. I'm sorry that you weren't able to be here live, but you can certainly watch the replay to learn this little trick. This is day 5 of my 21-day Periscope challenge myself. Hello, Elaine. And I'm going to wait. Today I'm going to wait a little bit, hi Gianna, to get started so that people can see me walk through the steps and ask any questions. Hey, Jessica. And I'm going to stay screen facing today because everything I have to show you on here. Victory7173, remind me of your name, please. Hi, Alyssa. So I zoomed my screen 200% so that hopefully there won't be any issues seeing. I know that can be kind of hard. Patrice, thank you. Victory, Patrice, Victory, Patrice. Gotta make that association. Hopefully everything will be clear. Sometimes it's difficult on Periscope when a screen is shared to be able to see it. Can you hear me okay? Because I know the camera, when it's turned around, the microphone is too. It's very odd to me, but as long as you can hear me okay, I will go ahead and take my little sign down. Whoops, fun tack was left behind. Okay, so yesterday we talked about things to do to build margin in so that you don't get behind on orders. And I'll try to talk nice and loud, Alyssa. Hi, Helen. And the question came up about, processing times. What do I do when I've put my processing times in my listings and it seems like people still don't read and pay attention to them, and I totally understand the pain of that. Welcome, Wheatland Dave Designs. Or is it Wheatland Avenue? That's so funny. My husband's name is Dave, so I immediately saw Dave in the middle of that. Wheatland Avenue Designs. So I totally understand the pain of people not reading the processing times and it possibly becoming an issue. And it's really frustrating if someone says something in a review about shipping and you're like, I actually shipped it earlier than it said, So what can you do? Well, I have a little hack. It's not the most ideal thing, but it is a way of getting those processing times or the shipping time frame in front of your buyers a little more visually. Hi, Wellness Wendy. Especially those buyers who are on mobile and who may not click the item details option to read everything in the listing or to look at the shipping and processing information tab. So this is what I do. In my shop, I'm going to go to my listings manager, and this can be done. I'm going to do mine with these are my ready to ship wallets that I'm going to put a little note about the fact that they're ready to ship in 1 to 2 days. You could also put a little note that says processing time instead. You can really tweak this to be whatever information you want to get in front of your buyers. So since all of the wallets that I want to add this to are in the same section, in my listings manager, I'm going to go down to sections and choose that section. And there are actually a couple in there I don't want to add it to for whatever reason. So I'm sorry. I'm going to mark them all, which you can do by clicking this box here. It will mark all of them. And then I'm going to just uncheck a couple that I don't want it to apply to. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is I am actually going to create a variation for all of these listings and apply it to all of them at once. If you've never bulk edited your variations, then this is where you do it. And you just go up to more and you choose variations. Now when you do it this way, it's going to override any existing variations you have. So if you already have very specific variations, this is not going to work for you, but you can still set up a variation on an individual basis in this same way. I just want to show you how to do it in an easy way. If you have a lot of ready to ship things or things that just don't need variations, and you could do it all at once. Here's the really clunky thing about this. I don't know why Etsy did this. For some reason, they stuck categories in there. So when you bulk edit your variations, you also have to bulk edit your categories. It makes no sense to me. So I do have a couple of my wallets that I put in the coupon organizer category instead, and I'll just go back and fix those later. I'm just going to go ahead and do this. So just go ahead and get your category part out of the way. Like, it really does not make any sense to me. Okay, so variations is where we're going to add this. So with variations, the interesting thing is that you do not, when you create a variation, you do not have to list multiple choices. Etsy only requires you to put in one thing for that variation. But what it does is if you have something in a variation, it will show up on the right in a browser or underneath or above the Add to Cart button on mobile. So it'll be right there in front of everyone's face without having to click anything to see more. So you don't select any of these properties that are predetermined here. You're going to add a new property, and you can name it whatever you want to. You can name it processing time. You can say whatever you want to for that property. I'm going to say ships in, because these are my ready to ship, and I want people to know that they ship in 1 to 2 business days. Remember, I don't say 1 business day, because what if I get sick or an emergency happens the next day and I can't ship it? I always give myself that little cushion. So I'm calling it ships in, and I'm adding it as a variation. This is where you enter the options. I'm only going to enter one option here. I'm not going to enter multiple options. I'm just going to say 1 to 2 business days. And that is the only property, hi JS Crafty Studio, that is the only property I'm going to enter for this variation, okay? And then I'm going to go down. It shows you what listings that are currently active in your shop this would apply to. And a little tip, you can actually apply these to sold out listings as well, I believe. I think I did that, so I'll tell you in just a second. So preview settings, and it shows what I've done, the categories I chose, what the variation is that I created, ships in 1 to 2 business days, and when everything looks right, you just apply the settings. Like I said, that will override any variations you had, so use that bulk variation editing tool with care. Okay, I'm just going to double check. I think that I can unsold out. Okay, yes, unsold out. You can even sort your sold out listings by section and apply listing variations to those as well. So if there's things you rotate through on a regular basis, you can get those all done. So when you renew those listings, they already have this new little feature on them. So let me show you what this looks like when I go back to my shop and I look at a listing. So if someone clicks on this wallet, that person's going to see over here on the right, see under overview, handmade item, ships in 1 to 2 business days. It is right in front of their face. And on mobile, it's even better right in front of their face because they don't have to look on the right. It's right underneath the photo of the item above the Add to Cart button. So it is a great visual way to compensate for the fact that there's not really a better way to do that in Etsy because of the fact that people don't read or click on the shipping and policies tab. It's a way to get any information that you really want your customer to see right in front of their face. Let me highlight it here, right where it is. Oops. Right in front of their face. So it could be anything. Like let's say there's something that people are constantly asking you about or constantly sending you questions, convos about. You could choose to use that as a variation so that it shows up under that item overview. Okay? So, little hack for you. I hope that helps you with dealing with some of those issues that you have. Do you have any questions about any of the steps or any of that? So this is, thanks Katie, so this is something that normally, the variations would show up down with, in a drop down. And they would have to choose one of them. So, but if you only have one thing listed under that variation, it just shows in this overview list instead of in the drop down choice before adding to cart. Yes, you can go back and add another variation to a particular listing. Now, if you want the same variations on all of your listings, then you could have added that in the bulk editing tool at the same time as this one. But if you want some different variations, then you would just do that on an individual listing basis. And when you go in to edit that item, you will see this variation already there, and then you can just add a variation. So let's say you need a pricing variation as well, then you can have your pricing variation set up. The problem is pricing variations need to be the first variation that you create. If you already have a variation in there, I'm pretty sure when you go to create a variation, you can't make it pricing. Let me check. I don't know why that's sticking in my head as being true. So I'm going to go down to my variations here. Okay, so if I add a variation, let's say I'll just say color, just pretend. Yeah, can't add pricing. So you can only add pricing to your first variation here. So if you need to have pricing variations with your items, then you are going to have those set up first and separately, and then you will have to add this informational variation on an individual listing basis, because if you go into the bulk editor and do it, it will override your pricing variation. But if you need to just add another variation that doesn't involve pricing, it doesn't matter which order you add them in. If this is already done, you already did this in bulk editing, you can go ahead and come down here and add a second variation. We are only limited to 2, so some people, you know, it's just they're in a place where they can't use this little hack because they really need those 2 variations, and that's totally understandable. But if you don't desperately need those 2 variations for some other reason on your listings, then this is something that you might find useful. Any other questions? Okay, so tomorrow's Q&A is actually going to be earlier than usual because I have to be somewhere tomorrow at my usual scoping time. So I'm going to do it at like 8:30 Pacific time because I have to leave the house about 9. So 8:30 Pacific time. You're welcome, Helen. 10:30 Central, 11:30 Eastern. And Monday's scope is going to be really fun and special and with someone else. So if you want to find out what that is, then come tomorrow and you can ask me in the Q&A and I will share that with you. So anyway, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Pacific for a little bit of Q&A. Talk to you later.